Morning and welcome, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason, happy Friday. If you had to get gas this morning here in the Valley of the Sun, boy, it sucked. 4:15 this morning, and things are getting worse instead of better as crude oil prices continue to climb as the longer this goes on. And, you know, Jason and I, we told you, everyone's going to learn a geography lesson when it comes to Iran. You know, we have known the importance of the location where Iran is located on the map. I mean, if you want to go back and talk about, like, the Shah of Iran, right? Why did the United States, right, try to, force a leader onto the Iranians, all that time ago? Well, because they knew, right? I mean, there's no surprise that, where this country is located and where the energy that drives the world comes from, it's a pretty important place. Probably why all the military generals said don't do it. But here we are. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. We got a bunch of economic data today, and all of it was bad. Really bad. Which may, in a way, be good, right? I don't even know where to start. Let's just start with oil prices. Right now, up $8. $89 on that's NYMEX crude. Brent crude, $91. Unleaded gas, $2.70 wholesale. Unleaded gas in the last 24 hours is up another 20 cents. And again, why? Nobody can get oil through the Strait of Hormuz. It's pretty simple. Iraq now will be, come Monday morning, all of Iraq's oil will be offline because there's nowhere for it to go. Qatar, big announcement today from their leader saying that the world is going to suffer a horrible price here. I'll just say this. If we are in the same spot next week, okay, so let's just say next Friday we're in the same spot, which is we're bombing the living daylights out of Iran and Lebanon and all that stuff, right? We're blowing this up. We're blowing that up. We want the president today. Nothing but unconditional surrender is acceptable. That was what he said today. But the Iranians keep the Strait of Hormuz essentially blocked. Oil will be, forget about 100, right? We'll probably be talking about, 120. And if we go 2 weeks, right? If we're here 2 weeks from today, we would honestly probably start to have to look at something close to $200 a barrel oil. And if you look at a map, I'll tell you why it's so hard, because that strait that we're talking, it's not straight. That's the problem. See, there's this, we call it a choke point, right? Where, think about a river, and the river has like this big bend in it. Not a little bend, a big bend. And the channel gets really narrow.
And, it's not so much the narrow, too. When it does get narrow, or it's at its more narrow point, it also, the water just gets, these are big ships. You can't, when you look at the map, it's like, well, they should be able to put quite a few ships there. Well, no, because the water, in some places in the ocean, there's these huge drop-offs. That's where they put the ports. And in other words, it's sloped. And these ships will get beached if they get too close to the coast. So, yeah, there's not a lot of usable water in that choke point, Joe.
And so the ability, as well, we'll escort them through. Yeah, that's you're talking about you'd be lucky to get one ship at a time through there. It's not a great situation.
And Joe, these oil ships, the ones that are not coming to the United States, these are massively bigger than the one. We don't have ports that support the biggest oil tankers and the biggest shipping container ships. These are massively bigger ships for newer ports that were built around the world. And so they might have a much harder time getting through there because, like I said, there's shallow points that you just can't send these ships. I mean, here comes a missile. You might know the missile's coming. Where are you going to go? Ships have the ability to see the missile. It's not like a movie where the missile gets shot and immediately blows up on the ship. You actually see the thing coming towards you. A ship actually can move away from the missile. But in the strait, what is your choice? Beach the ship or get hit, right? Not a lot of good choices there. Either way, the ship's out of commission, Joe.
800-951-0592. When we get back, we'll give you an update on the markets and then all the bad jobs data that came out today. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason on this Friday. A quick look in here. The Dow's down 580 points right now. The NASDAQ down 220. The S&P down 76. Let's take a look at the bond market. The bond market should be way down today after the economic data. It is up right now. 416 on the U.S. 10-year note. Crude oil up $8.16, $89.17. That's up 10% today. Brent crude 91.24. Like we said, unleaded gas now up to 270 at the wholesale level. Unleaded gas is a good comparison. When I say unleaded gas is $2.70, and everybody in Phoenix today is paying $4.15 to fill up your pumps, that's a good way. When you look at like gold, the spot price of gold, and then you're like, well, gold right now up $65, $51.50. And I'm saying that, hey, you can buy. You know what? I'll tell you what. I want to get you guys in. It's a Friday. I'm just going to pretend like crude oil is down $7 today. I'm going to put $20 gold pieces on sale, $52.95. $52.95. But the spot price is $51.50. Well, yeah. But then, right, that gasoline at the refiners, right, it's got to go get put into the pipeline. It's got to get transported to these big depots, where these big depots, then they've got to put it on these trucks, right? Then these trucks got to go and deliver it to the gas station, right? And then the gas station, well, they got to make a few dollars, right? So, we're going to make a lot less dollars today. $20 gold pieces, $52.95. By the way, silver up $2.55 here, getting ready to go back above $85 a barrel. U.S. Silver Eagles, $1,945. Get them while you can. If you're looking for something a little more economical, rolls of silver dimes, $320 at 800-951-0592. You better get more protected here. This is not going to go like, Venezuela. We're not getting Venezuela here. By the way, really quickly, Customs and Border is telling the judge that they cannot comply with the refund order on the tariffs today. Well, they don't have the money, obviously, to do it. But just to throw that in everyone's face. But today, the government came out with its jobs data, and this thing was an absolute mess. According to the government, in the month of February, the Bureau of Labor Statistics said the United States lost 92,000 jobs and then revised down. Remember, January, they said like 176,000 jobs created. Revised that down to 126,000, subtract 92,000 in February. The government saying we're creating about 17,000 jobs a month. Guys, we know that is not very good at all. By the way, that is the second worst print since 2020, when we got an October number of down 140. This time, the massive drop, unfortunately, there was no big, like, oh, we fired all these government people, or, right, there was, oh, it was bad weather, right, Jason? This was just a really bad number today.
Yeah, I mean, go back to what you said, the timing of it. How worst number since when? October of 2020? Does anyone remember why?
Going back to COVID.
Does anyone remember why that number was probably bad in October? Because 2 weeks to flatten the curve didn't happen. There were still people sitting at home not working.
Yep.
We don't have that now. And by the way, this number was being formed before Iran got attacked. So you can't blame that one. So this number, this is when we said that, when I say the fake COVID emergency, when we talk economics, we now have numbers that rivals COVID without the COVID. Because it's economics, guys. The Iran war is economics. These guys that run Iran or run Russia or run China, America, they care about, they pull out their numbers and there's charts and how they're going to make their money and where their debt position is. And then they make decisions. And Joe and I, it's been a couple of years. We're way ahead when it comes to inflation and when it comes to these numbers. But we said, look, they had no choice after COVID. With the inflation that came in, they could ruin the markets or they can inflate their way out. And we've got a track record of inflating their way out. World War II, the 1950s and moving up. This is the direction they're going. And so whatever has to happen, right, Joe, has to happen. And oil, darn it, it's just not playing with our inflation. It's just not playing into our game. Well, come on, oil, get with the program. Even silver's got its record highs going on. Still, silver's looking at oil. It's like, come on, oil. What's wrong with you? Get your butt in gear. It's time to inflate this world into oblivion. And so they blew some stuff up in Iran, and now here comes oil. It's like, okay, guys, here I come. Inflation.
Big trouble. The unemployment rate, 4.4. But the story really is the unemployment rate was 0.01 away from 4.5. It was 4.3. On top of that number jumping, the increase was driven from people just simply, they lost their jobs. Amount of people losing their jobs escalating. And here's what made that number even worse. The labor force participation rate fell by 0.5%, which is big. So if the labor force participation rate had stayed the same, we would have been looking at an unemployment rate of about 4.6%. Instead of, we ended up at 4.44, right? So it was actually worse than that. And again, this should have been the 10-year note crumbling today because this is about as worse as a jobs report as nobody was expecting this. Matter of fact, the number was an increase of 55,000 was what they were hoping for with the unemployment rate unchanged. Then to make matters worse, Donald Trump came out and said there will be no deal with Iran except under, and I'm quoting here, unconditional surrender, and that just drove the oil markets were already heading the wrong way, Jason. That just drove them even higher today because, obviously, if you're the regime in Iran, well, gosh, if that's the case, right, let's go to the end, right? If that's the case, right?
So these jobs numbers make a lot of sense. So as I've said about gold and silver, that gold and silver, when it's going up, is a leading indicator of inflation to come. So we had that. We had gold hit record high in 2020. The inflation hit in 2021 in leading in indicator. So gold's been running for 2 years. Silver's been running since last year. We have another indication of inflation to come. Now, when inflation's coming and that indication's out there, that leading indicator, Joe, let's just say you're in charge of ABC, big-time corporation, and you're seeing the numbers. Well, you know what inflation means. You have to pay your people more. The cost of doing business goes up. Well, the best way to not get hurt is to proactively start firing everybody and lower the cost of business before you get hurt, right? So these job numbers coming in bad now is another leading indicator of inflation that's coming. Because if I was a big corporate guy and I needed to save my big corporation, start chopping heads, right, Joe?
Yeah, Oracle just announced another big round. There were a lot of layoff announcements this week. Something to keep our eye on.
It's a great week to have layoff information coming out.
Let me tell you, right? No one's paying attention.
No one's paying attention.
And then with this super spike in energy, right? This could get a lot worse. We did get retail sales. Somehow retail sales is still delayed because of the government shutdown. Down 0.2% in January. The decline, well, gas was cheap in January. Here's the thing. I think retail sales may rebound a little bit, but drop in gasoline sales, health, personal care stores, and motor vehicles all led to the decline. I don't know. I'm not too optimistic here, as we've had two horrible things happen since then. Massive increases in gas prices. In Arizona, gas got down to like $2.89 this year, right? It's only the first week of March. So in the last 4 weeks, gas got down to $2.89. It's $4.15 today. And guess what, guys? I hope you fill up. If you're hoping it's going to go down next week, listen, unless Iran just decides, you know what? Okay, we give up. Outside of an Iran we give up thing, oil prices are going to get even more expensive. But it's that 10-year note, Jason. That 10-year note, 2 weeks ago, was in the, 392. Now we're looking at a 10-year note of almost 420 and rising. That makes homes more expensive, makes autos more expensive. It makes, anybody that has to use credit, it just makes it more expensive.
Yeah, drop those rates and everybody else pay a higher rate. We're headed for that.
Gosh.
The big guys get the lower rates as the Fed lowers it, and everybody else gets the higher rates because the 10-year note decides it's got a mind of its own, right, Joe? So it's supposed to have a mind of its own, but the Fed kind of muddied the waters the last century, and now we're looking at a little bit of a delinking, huh, Joe?
Okay, breaking news here. Gosh, not good. So Iraq is now saying that by the end of the weekend, all 3 million barrels a day of crude oil production will be offline. Kuwait, that wasn't new. We knew that. Iraq said, hey, in 8 days, we're going to be totally out. Right now, they've already got like 2 million barrels shut. Kuwait has now said that their storage tank farms are filled up. They aren't able to load any crude, and they have started cutting their oil production. So this is kind of what's happening. Think about if you're a Middle East country right now. Any spare capacity you had, you filled all the tanks, right? All the storage completely full. Once the storage is full, you've got to stop production. Iraq, it's full, all coming offline. Kuwait now says our tanks are full, all that oil going offline. On top of that, they're saying that the output is going to get worse in the coming days. Kuwait said when this started, 12 days till we are totally offline. So where do we put that? We're about halfway through that, right? Totally offline. Qatar's energy ministry interviewed with the Financial Times today. I'll tell you what he said. Well, you guys get the theme today, right? It wasn't pretty. We'll be back. 800-951-0592. Gosh, I don't know. This is not good. So, Qatar today. Everybody is going to be forced into force majeures in the next few days. All exporters in the Gulf region are going to have to call force majeure. So what does that mean? That means you got to remember, a lot of these, everybody, all these countries, airlines. Think about airlines. Think about gas stations, right? Think about all of these places that use a lot of oil or natural gas. They order way in advance. And then they have delivery dates. Hey, think about it. How about this? So I don't know, let's just say August of last year, they set up a deal. Hey, we're going to buy, 3 tankers full of crude oil and a tanker of liquid natural gas, and we need delivery March 15th. Okay, great, da-da-da, here's the price, blah, 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 da-da-da. We'll see you at the dock on March 15th. What Qatar is saying is nobody is going to be able to honor those contracts. So they're going to have to declare force majeure, which just means something happened beyond our control, i.e. a war, and we are not going to make these deliveries. If they don't, they are going to pay the liability for that legally. If you miss a delivery, right, well, there's consequences. So everybody's going to have to do it, guys. When we wake up on Monday, it is going to be force majeure central all over. Why is oil up $7, $8, $9 today? This is why. He wasn't done, though. That's bad, right? I wonder if we're going to shut down the NYMEX here. Possible. Hey, you know what? We're just not even going to give you a price. I don't know. Do we shut down at 10%? I wonder if we shut the machines down for 5 minutes today because of the rise. I don't know. This will bring down the economies of the world. If this war continues for a few weeks, notice how I said a few weeks. It's already been one. GDP growth around the world will be severely impacted. Everybody's energy price is going to go a lot higher. There will be shortages of products. There will be a chain reaction of factories that will not be able to be supplied. We don't even know the extent of the damage. It is still being assessed. Then they said, here's what makes it even worse. If that wasn't bad enough, that as they shut these wells down, as they shut down production, he's saying that, there's maintenance, there's stuff they've got to do to, when they shut these wells. It's not like, okay, we shut the wells down today, and whenever Donald Trump says, ollie, ollie, income free, right, okay, hit the button, and here comes the oil again. No, it's going to take close to a month to get things back online. And someone just posted, by the way, he is saying that get ready for Brent crude to hit $150 a barrel as early as next week, Jason. So this was Qatar's energy finance minister this morning.
They're actually saying 150 next week?
Yeah. Yep.
This is just me. I'm going to say we don't hit 150 next week. I don't think we get there, but let's just see. Let's see. Maybe Joe, we should. I think it's going to go up dramatically. I would say 120 to 130 if the war is continuing. I'm not going to go with 150 because I think this will be a more slower grinding situation. I don't think the dramatic panic oil prices. That's just me, Joe. What do you think? Do you think the 150 next week? You think we're sitting here Friday, it's 150? I think it's a little bit slow, right? Look, $120 to $130 oil next week is still dramatic. I'm just saying that I think that's
maybe 2 weeks, right? But he's saying, and I don't know, right? Obviously,
150 in March is odd, yeah.
All Gulf energy exporters, are going to have to halt output.
Oh, yeah. If that happens, then 150. I'm not saying it can't happen. I just see this as a little more.
Right? I don't know either. But this gets weird now because when you think about energy, all of a sudden, and I think he put it right, you're going to have, and every country has them, right? Certain industry just uses a lot of it. And I'm not talking just about electricity. They use a lot of oil. What happens when all of a sudden some major factory that we've never gave two craps about in India or China, somewhere in the Middle East or somewhere in Northern Europe, all of a sudden says, oh, hey, by the way, we produce, half of the world's fertilizer, and the government just told us that we are not going to get our oil shipment, and our plant is shut down effective immediately.
And see, Joe, that's why I think it's not going to go up dramatically next week. Because remember, we talked, we had Nick come on, and he reminded us about a few weeks, a month ago, saying, by the way, there's a whole lot of oil tankers just sitting out in the ocean. You have to drink up the supply before it really gets dramatic. That's why I say it might be a little less dramatic next week. But Joe, I think you got a good vibe on it. And if not next week, this month. Absolutely this month. It'll only take a month to drink up a lot of that supply. And here's the thing: when you've got a supply, you feel comfy. We got a lot of oil sitting there. We're not. Well, when you had 10 ships sitting out there doing nothing, and then it gets down to 5 ships out there, they say, "Whoa, look at that, man! I need to make me some money, man. Boost that price, boost it, $200, $250 a barrel." But you got to get a couple of those ships out of the ocean, right, Joe? Around the world before you can really go crazy,
right? Yeah, we'll see. We're gonna find out. I don't mean to laugh. I don't want to find out. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. $20 gold pieces on sale right now, $52.95. Gold and silver up today because the economic data, we had bad retail sales. We had really bad jobs numbers today, negative 92,000 jobs for the month of February, with a jump in the unemployment rate that would have been even worse had it not been for a big drop in the labor force participation rate. But effectively, everybody's watching crude right now. Everybody is watching crude oil right now. Again, up 8.15, 89.15. Then that's NYMEX crude. Brent crude is what Qatar was talking about. Brent crude. Right now, Brent crude only at 91.5. But everybody, if this week is an indicator, we jumped about 30%, right? About 30% this week. If we do that again next week, we'd be looking somewhere around $120 a barrel, right? And kind of, which would be bad. So that'd be terribly bad. But I don't know that they can stop it. The Trump administration has granted India a license to buy its oil back from Russia again. That's nice. But there's no amount of oil to make up for this stuff. I mean, Iraq's offline. Kuwait today says, hey, we got to start shutting down. We got nowhere to put the oil. Right? These are, now we're talking, 4 or 5 million barrels, Qatar, same thing. I saw, is Saudi Arabia in this? Sounds like they may be. Yeah, Jason, I think the bigger shock, if this goes another week, that's bad. 2 weeks, though, now we got major problems, because I think then we're going to start finding out some of these factories that we've never heard of, never cared about, are going to be having to shut down because the government's like, listen, we don't have oil. We can either keep the lights on, keep the heat on, keep the gas in cars. And a lot of this oil, you got to remember, it's the refiners can't make an adjustment. You can't say, well, I'll just use American oil. It's totally different oil. And a lot of these refiners around the world, you need to mix it. Hey, I need to take the sour stuff and the light stuff, put it in a big vat, mix it all up, and get like a medium to run it through the refineries. Yeah. And Jason, a lot of this heavier crude is disappearing. But,
and all that is factual stuff. Joe is giving you information that is completely true. The whole oil system is rigged. The worldwide oil system is rigged. Just the fact that there's such a thing as a petrodollar shows you that it's rigged. I watched this show Landman. Isn't that a perfectly placed couple of seasons when they brag up oil and it's like a pro-conservative kind of, hey, stick it in the face of liberals. It has a huge following. And they have there's a scene that I won't play on this show or on the other shows because he comes in and he has facts like what Joe said. Look, this is what oil does. It's in everything and this and that and everything else. And they're talking about how wind turbines can't run without oil and all this stuff, right? And then he does the most this is why I don't put it on the air. He's like, and we're going to run out of this. And when we run out of this, the whole world's going to collapse and die. It's like, no, it's not running out. It's not running out. It's completely controlled. We could have so much oil coming out that everybody could have, 50 cents a gallon oil or gasoline, and everybody can live very well. And guess what? Everyone listening? It happened in Libya. I know they were an oil-producing country, but they had the gold dinar. They had a non-central banked country, and they were living at the highest standard of living in the entire region. Some say in the entire world before the central bankers sent Hillary Clinton and Obama in there. And it's rigged. It's rigged. It's rigged. It is rigged. This country, America, which means the entire planet, needs to have inflation so the bankers and the corporatists and the wealthy and powerful can continue this economic system further. Since they have chosen inflation, you can't have 50. Can you imagine, Joe? It was $50 a barrel before Venezuela. I remember Joe last year because Joe came on the show today. He's like, "Look, we are telling you what's going on. you know. And geopolitically, I take that's the one step I can go a little bit further than Joe, because I look at things through a conspiratorial eye. And even Joe in 2024 is like, okay, Joe wasn't convinced Trump was going to win the election. Joe wasn't, and then Joe heard me talk about Venezuela as one of the first things on Trump's agenda, and Joe didn't totally understand that. But now, Joe, it makes a lot of sense now, doesn't it? We've been talking about Iran being the bad guy for how many decades, and it took the toppling or the handshake backroom deal, wink, wink, nod, nod, of the Venezuelan thing to end. They didn't wait a minute. The whole Iran thing was war gamed last June. Remember that whole 12-day war, they call it? They wanted to see how much the war was going to cost. They had their little barrage that went back and forth, and then suddenly, we're at peace again. Well, Iran said they were at war ever since last year. They never said they weren't at war. But regardless, when that little 12-day war was going on, Joe, why do I get the feeling some Venezuelan tankers started going in all kinds of directions during that 12-day war? And they're like, let's put an end to this. We're going to have to give Maduro and Venezuela what they want. We'll make it look good for us. We'll have the media concoct this fantastic story, and then we're going to knock this country all to hell. We're just going to make them pay for not being in the system, Joe. And here we are. Geopolitical geography, just like Joe said earlier. It's why we can predict it, Joe. It's right there in front of us.
We'll be back. Final segment coming up. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Fed Governor Mary Daly, she is the San Francisco Fed, so she's, the West Coast. She said that today's terrible jobs number has gotten her attention. So she was one of these that does not want to cut rates, but maybe hedging her bet now. Listen, this feels like stagflation, really, really does. I don't know how this ends quickly. That's the problem. This was the easiest week. I'll just say that. Every week after that, things get worse. Iran today, they have said that they are going to start targeting Amazon and Microsoft with kamikaze drones looking to take out commercial data centers. Now, I know on Monday they hit some AWS data centers, and that takes a lot of websites will become unoperable and things of this nature. They hit those in the UAE. Today, they're saying that they are going to be using these kamikaze drones and targeting certain of these data centers. Obviously, not every data center is the same, right, Jason? Some of them are much more important than others. This could take down websites. This could take down the stock markets. Maybe not our stock market, but it could take down stock markets all across the Middle East, right? There are, like I said, certain data centers are much more important than others. And now Iran says, get ready. We're going to start targeting these important ones with these kamikaze drones.
Let's see how much critical infrastructure actually gets damaged, Joe. I still think if there's a lot more planning to this war, I think it could still come to an end in weeks or even a few months. Let's just see, because if you are a country that's fighting for your existence, you're probably going to get real nasty with your targets. And right now, they're not getting hit in a nasty way, and they're not hitting the other countries that are siding against them. So everyone's talking the big talk. I mean, is this thing? You start seeing important things. I'm talking about, infrastructure being taken out on both sides. The markets will not. The markets will be squashed hard, Joe. You're going to see economic things that we maybe haven't seen. This has more than the potential of being way worse than after the 9/11, and we went after a couple of countries. This could be so much worse than that because economically, but on top of everything, this is really bad, like 9/11. But economically, we're in a way weaker, the world system is in a weaker position debt-wise than it was in 2001, Joe.
Listen, I'll say this was a good week for Wall Street. Think about that. I think things get much worse every week this continues. Again, let's hope. Listen, we need Donald Trump to win this and wrap this up fast. That's just the bottom line, and it doesn't look like it's happening. 800-951-0592. Get your gold, get your silver put away.